In this video, I'm going to share with you how you can overcome resistance to achieve your financial goals. You're going to learn the ways that resistance show up in your life and 4 key ways that you can overcome that resistance to finally stay the course and achieve your financial goal. My name is Yvonne, and the goal in this channel is personal growth. So if you want to improve the quality of your life, click the subscribe button to level up. You know, the biggest obstacle I have seen in my coaching clients is their ability to get past their own resistance to change. And, you know, in order to get past resistance, you've got to be receptive to learning and willing to change. So let's say you decide to set some financial goals, and maybe you buy a book, you download a budgeting app, and maybe you sign up for a financial class. You start out well, okay, but then you start feeling like, you know what, it's just too much effort and too much work, and you really don't want to do it anymore. Maybe because it's uncomfortable. Well, you know, slowly you notice that you stop reading that book halfway through maybe, or you no longer log in to your budgeting app. You stop attending that financial class that you were excited about, maybe because you realize, oh, there's so many other things that just seem to get in the way right when you try to start making changes in your life, right? So this actually is how resistance shows up in our life. And we have the best of intentions sometimes, but we don't keep the promise we make to ourselves and we quit. Why is that? Well, we'll talk about that. Okay? And the key thing here is resistance. You see, resistance kicks in the moment you step out of the comfort zone and enter into that space in between where you are now and where you want to be. So that gap of where you are now and where you want to be, this gap here, okay, that's where resistance shows up, because that's the area of change and transformation, and that can be so difficult and challenging. So that's the journey that we're talking about here. That journey is extremely uncomfortable and filled with so much tension and stress. You see, resistance is a psychological reaction to an internal conflict. So part of you wants to accomplish your desire and knows you're capable and you're worthy of it, but there's another part that wants to stay in your comfort zone and in the familiar, and honestly doesn't want you to change, okay? It's like a battle. Well, you know, that battle is happening. It's a real battle, and it's a battle between the soul, okay, and the ego parts of you. Okay? And that's why resistance work is what we're talking about here. And it's really, you know what? Conflict resolution. It really is. It's a conflict resolution between that soul that wants to go move and grow onto greater things, and that ego that is comfortable with its current identity. Okay? So it's the conflict resolution that you've got to now play. So in fact, psychologists use the term, it's called cognitive dissonance, and that describes the phenomenon of holding 2 conflicting beliefs at the same time. You see, that's what's happening when you're in that gap from where you are now, okay, from the person that you are now to the person that you want to be. There is cognitive dissonance because you're holding on to, you know, 2 conflicting beliefs at the same time. Okay, there's a belief pattern that this person holds to be true, which is why they're in that identity, and there's a belief pattern that this person holds to be true, which is why they're in a different stage in their life. Okay, so there's a lot of conflict going on. Okay, and that internal conflict is what creates a lot of anxiety. So to cope with the anxiety, most people, they lapse into defense mechanisms like maybe denial, repression, or maybe passive aggressive behavior. So how about you? How does resistance show up in your life? Well, here are a few ways that you might notice it. You might notice or hear yourself saying, oh, I'm too busy. I don't have the time. Okay, maybe there are some goals that you have for yourself, and you know that to meet those goals, you've got to maybe set up your 401k, and you know you've got to sit down and get it done. But guess what? Something always happens and gets in the way, and you don't just sit down and take a look at your budget, your income, your expenses, and set aside some time to understand what percentage is going to get you to where you want to be, because you're too busy. Okay, that's a financial example, and that's how resistance, right, shows up. That's a symptom. When you hear yourself saying, "Oh, I'm too busy," but you know that what you're too busy for is actually something that you know is going to help you and move the needle forward, that is a symptom, okay, of what we're talking about here. Another way that it shows up is you procrastinate, or maybe you know that you want to go ahead and have that conversation with your manager to be able to talk about how much value you bring to the organization and how you want to increase that income because you know you're worthy of it. But you procrastinate. Oh, I'll have that conversation later. Things are going too busy at work right now. Oh, it's not the right time, right? So that's a symptom, again, of resistance. Maybe you find yourself being disorganized, and you know, for instance, you've got to get your taxes done, and you've got that deadline, and it's important to you, okay, to do the right thing. But guess what? Oh, where did I put that paper? Where did I put that document? Oh, yeah, I can't find it. So you feel a little scattered. That scattered and disorderly self just seems to show up. Okay, that's a symptom as well. Okay, or another reason is maybe you find reasons why you can't act, and they're all good reasons. Right? So let's say you want to increase your financial literacy and education, but you say, oh, I can't right now because I just had kids, or I just got married. Oh, I can't now because I don't know, I'm going to school right now and I don't have the time, right? So I can't. That whole I can't because, where you're putting up boundaries or blocks to get to where you want to go, and you know that this is going to help you move the needle forward, but you still have that I can't do it because. That's a symptom. So when you hear yourself saying that, know that this is what's going on. Another symptom is maybe you defer decisions. Maybe, and we've all been there, right? Oh, I'll think about it later, or I'll check it out later. You get an email on a great offer for a course that you've been eyeing. Maybe there's a discount price, or maybe there's a weekend sale, or maybe that email comes up again and it encourages you to go ahead and make that decision to purchase that course. And what do? Oh, well, I'm going to think about it. I'm going to think about it. But you know that that's exactly the kind of education that you need to get to the other side, to get to that future self. Remember where you are and where you want to be, and that person that is where you want to be, guess what? Has the financial education, and that's why they are where they are. Okay? But in between there's that resistance. And when you defer decisions that you know are important to you, and you come up with all sorts of excuses, I'll think about it, I don't know, I'll ask my husband, I'll, da. That's a symptom, okay? So now let's talk about the 4 key ways that you can overcome that very resistance and those excuses to finally stay the course and achieve your financial dreams and goals. In the book, Rewire for Wealth by Barbara Hewson, she points these out very, very well. I really enjoyed reading this book. So she shares that the first way that you can overcome resistance is to call yourself out. Yeah, call yourself out on it when you see that happening, when you hear yourself saying these things. And you do this by being fully honest with yourself about it, okay? Call yourself out on your procrastination or for being disorganized. But instead of getting frustrated at yourself, acknowledge when you are in resistance with a sense of curiosity. So I don't want you to beat yourself up for it. So when I say call yourself out, what I mean is being aware that you're doing that, okay? Being curious and aware and call it out. But don't do that in a negative way where you're putting yourself down. Just observe in a neutral way. So for example, if you're procrastinating in investing, okay, you know you want to invest, but you're procrastinating, you're not getting to it, acknowledge it and say it out loud. I can see that I'm procrastinating in investing. So in my case, for years, I didn't invest because I was too afraid to lose money and I didn't know enough about it. So I thought that it was, maybe for other people to invest, but not for me. Okay. So that made me miss out of years of growing my wealth. And, I don't want that to happen to you. So really ask yourself, what's your resistance trying to tell you about your fears, your beliefs, and your early decisions? Okay, so be curious about that. One thing that I noticed when the reason why I was procrastinating in investing, I was kind of beating myself up for it, but after I did my inner work, and I went back to that person that knew she had to invest, but she didn't do it. That's because the first time that I got my first job, I remember it was during the dot-com bust. Okay, that was at the tails end of this whole dot-com boom where all of these tech companies were doing very well and all of these people were being hired. Well, guess what? By the time I graduated and actually entered the job market, that was when all of that was like, flipped around and people were being laid off, people were losing jobs. In fact, I remember, and it brings chills just thinking about, I remember I went out to lunch with my manager. I was interning at IBM at the time. And my manager met with me and he said I was doing a great job and he offered me the job verbally. And he said, "You're doing a great job. We'd like for you to start." And I was so excited. I didn't even at the time think about negotiating, which actually, come to find out, it was a protection. It was God's grace, really. And I was so excited. I said, yes, absolutely. When do I start? Well, guess what? The day after, he stops me in the hall and he tells me, "You know what, Yvonne? If you had not verbally accepted my verbal offer today, I would have had to tell you that job is no longer available." Okay, that's how bad the market was, where you would intern, you couldn't get the job. People were being laid off, losing their work. The stocks were plummeting. So fast forward a decade later, 2 decades later, then you realize, well, yeah, that makes sense why I was so hesitant to invest. I was scared. There was a fear and a belief. And that's what that was in me at the core that stopped me from investing. Okay, but later on I was curious and I went back there and I healed that part of me and I reassured that part of me. Okay, so that's the kind of stuff that happens when we do the inner work, and it's about being compassionate with yourself, with that person. So there's reasons why we procrastinate and we don't make decisions. So we want to find out where that's coming from. And that's why you don't want to beat yourself up for it, because a lot of times you're just protecting yourself. That part of you that's not doing these things is just protecting yourself. There's the resistance, okay? So the second way, and I hope that example helped you in some way. The second way that you can overcome resistance is to pinpoint the conflict and reflect on your past. Pinpoint that conflict and reflect on your past. So if you feel there's that war within, like that internal battle where one part of you wants something and the other part doesn't. Often it indicates a disconnect between your conditioning and your authentic self. So maybe what you heard or saw growing up is very different than what you want for yourself right now. And that's what's causing the misalignment. So your old beliefs about yourself are clashing with the new beliefs about yourself. And you have to find strength to let go of the habits and the beliefs that about money that you inherited from maybe your family, the past, and begin to let go of what no longer fits. And really, if you think about that example that I gave you, remember that belief that really seeped into my heart because I saw what happened with the stock market, okay? And I saw what was happening with people's jobs, and I associated a negative experience with investing, that people will lose their money, and people did. So it wasn't far out, but I was missing context, okay? I was so fearful that there was a strong belief. So the part of me later on that wanted to begin investing, and I'm like, what the hell? Where's the resistance coming from? Well, there it is. It was because that little girl that started off her career in the early 20s, I think I was 21 or 22, when I got the internship and was offered the job. I skipped over my bachelor's. I did my bachelor's in 2 years instead of 4, by the way. So I just fast-tracked it. But anyways, what's my point? My point is there was a belief that I had to shed and I had to let go of. And it was a very firm belief because it was started at the core at the beginning of my career. So, for example, also, if you wanted something as a child, and you heard your parents tell you, oh, money doesn't grow on trees, and you keep hearing money doesn't grow on trees often enough, you start growing up with seeing lack and feeling that there's not enough in the world instead of seeing abundance in this world. So, I remember going to a nice 5-star hotel for breakfast. It's called The Breakers here in Palm Beach. I absolutely love going there. It's my little hangout. It's a really nice place that I just kind of grab a cup of coffee, have a really nice little breakfast, and just spend, about an hour, just kind of meandering around, reading a book or something like that on Sundays, But anyways, in one of these days, as I walked the hallway towards the restaurant I was going to, I overheard a conversation with a son and his father. And the child must have been maybe about 8 years old, okay? And his father was telling him that they were going to check out a few properties. And he was talking to his son about the process, the real estate process. And I was floored because at that age, most other children are definitely not talking or even thinking about the real estate acquisition process. But guess what? The wealthy have these generational wealth because they condition their children to think differently. How do they condition their children? Well, with regular conversation. Think about this child, this 8-year-old. What kinds of conversations he's having with his family, with his father, maybe, extended family that are also wealthy, family, friends, associations. That's called the conditioning. That's the environment that this child is growing up in. And they have a healthy relationship with money, let's say, right? And they're investing and they're comfortable with investing and they're sharing these stories maybe in the dinner table, and it's normal. What kind of life do you think this adult child is going to have now? This adult this child when it becomes an adult. What do you think the conditioning, the mindset? Oh, it's going to be very different than the average child when that person grows up. That listening to, oh, there's not enough money doesn't grow on trees. There's not enough money doesn't grow on trees in a dinner table or walking along the hallway, So there's a very big difference here. So the next time a limiting belief about money shows up that causes resistance in you, I want you to really pinpoint that conflict and reflect on your past so that you see where it might have came from, okay? And then begin to let that go with enabling beliefs. So I gave you 2 examples, right? One example was with a child at the age of 8, growing up, being conditioned, hearing about investing, whereas another one hearing about there's not enough and lack. And then they grow up, one grows up afraid of investing, the other one grows up, it's part of life, that's what they do, and they continue generational wealth. The other example I gave you was my first job at an early age, in my early 20s, where, I came into the market where the stock market was doing terribly. People were losing their jobs and the economy was terrible. And that introduced fear inside of me of investing. And because that fear was paralyzing, so I didn't seek out financial education. And that made me lose on, guess what? The stocks were on sale. Had I gotten into maybe the S&P 500, I would have done very well. I would have gotten it on sale. You know what I mean? That kind of mindset wasn't a part of me because I didn't grow up in a family of investors. So I didn't have those conversations. So I want you to start thinking about what are the thoughts and the beliefs that stem from the past that are affecting you now, your behavior now, and that is influencing and causing that resistance, okay? So the third way that you can overcome resistance is to proceed incrementally by taking on small, doable tasks. I'm sorry, if you hear the background noise, my nanny just came in with my son and my daughter. I only hear my son, so my daughter must be taking a nap now. So if you hear that, my apologies. But moving forward, what I was trying to say, that the third way that you can overcome resistance is to proceed incrementally by taking on small, doable tasks. So small steps that you can do daily and consistently, they add up pretty fast. Excuse me. So in the beginning, it's more about building new habits. Okay, I'm going to say that again because that's important. In the beginning, it's not about the destination. It's about your focus should be, how can I build a new habit out of this? So for example, I wanted to start working out in the morning, and I realized that, I was not being consistent in the gym because I just didn't feel like going. I knew, again, identity, right? So where I am now, where I want to be, and that path and that gap in between, there's resistance, right? So right now I weigh about 190, and I want to get to my pre-baby weight of 140. So that's a long way. So there's going to be a whole lot of resistance there in between, because that's a lot of pounds that I'm trying to get back to and lose. So, a part of it is changing my habits and behaviors. So with twins, and because in my family history, my grandmother did lose 2 sets of twins, I was so fearful that I stopped working out because I wanted to keep my babies. I was so scared. So I didn't work out. In the beginning, I did maybe the first 3 months, but after 3 months, I was like, time out. I'm not, I need to take care of myself, and I did everything I could to protect my children. So I stopped working out, and, obviously I gained weight. But, obviously going to the gym was not a part of my regular habits or my lifestyle anymore. So that's why I just didn't feel like going. And so I thought to myself, it's not about losing 50 pounds in the beginning. In the beginning, it should be about creating a new lifestyle habit, and every little step that gets me there counts. So instead of maybe going to the gym in the morning, this is what I did. I gave myself a goal to take a short 20-minute walk in the morning, because you know what? It felt easier and more doable for me right now. Okay, maybe later it's gonna be different, but I scaled it all the way back, So I love listening to birds and watching the sunrise in the morning, and it made it so much easier. I felt so calm and relaxing. It felt good. So that's what made me continue to show up every day. And now, now in the morning, I'm waking up early, between 4 a.m. and 5 a.m. And now I work out in our home gym. So I worked up the habit of getting up and doing something, anything. So now I'm able to strength train now. So, and that's become a habit. So that's kind of where how I want you to see financial habits. At first, it might just be going online and maybe watching a 5-minute video on investing, or this video here could be a start, right? Or maybe browsing a short article in Money Magazine. So start thinking that way, how you can focus on your daily habits and don't worry about the outcome. The outcome will come if you just focus on small baby steps, okay? Little bites at a time. So the fourth way that you can overcome resistance is by asking for help from others, by building a support team around you. You know, support is crucial because we are all relationship oriented. You know, it's always helpful to have people that we trust around us, holding us accountable and supporting us when things get challenging. Or you know what, just to encourage us to celebrate wins together. You know, sometimes it's the lack of support that's the missing piece that we need to achieve our financial success. So I'm going to encourage you to find a group of like-minded people, maybe by taking an investment class or maybe group coaching. Also, reach out to professionals, maybe like bookkeepers, accountants, investment advisors, and maybe estate attorneys to really help you in this process. You know, I personally realized that I needed help to maintain and stick to a budget. So now I work with a bookkeeper twice a month to make sure that I have all my finances in order, because I'm like that too. I'm a social being. You know, as a project manager, I'm a program manager now, and so I like to work with people. I like working in teams, and I like to feel that sense of support and accountability. So yeah, so I went on Thumbtack and I found myself a good bookkeeper. She's great, and she's helping me, you know, and so we always need a coach and a mentor to support us through the process. So, you know, another way to get help is by getting a mentor that can share their knowledge and their experience with you. You know, I have personally invested in mentorship and have found it pays for itself so much. And, you know, you can quantum leap and get light years ahead of your learning curve that way. So if it takes you several years to finally get to where you want to be, when you get a mentor, it's like a highway. It's like a freeway where you fast track your way to it, because now you're working with someone that's already there and they can show you the shortcuts. So in conclusion, the biggest obstacle with meeting your financial goals is your ability to get past your own resistance to change. So in order to get past your resistance, you've got to be receptive to learning and willing to change. Building your financial mastery really takes deep inner work so that your behaviors align with what you want in mind, body, and spirit. So that's why I have designed my signature Money Mastery program. You see, traditional personal finance education tends to focus on the facts and numbers and ignores the inner work, the mindset, behavior changes that really creates lasting results, okay? And it's that transformation that we're looking for so that we can get from where we are to where we want to be. You know, it's more than just creating a budget. It's creating a lifestyle to build and keep well. So if you're ready to invest in your financial education, this course is for you because it combines getting the full picture of personal finance and really helping you create a personalized financial action plan. You know, this program is curated especially for those that are ready to upgrade their mindset for wealth. And you know, this is not for everyone. It's really an exclusive experience for high achieving people that are committed to their transformation, to really get out of debt, save more, increase their income, and invest to build generational wealth. This exceptional program is going to support you in having that peace of mind that comes when you have an action plan for your financial freedom. So if you're ready to live a life of financial prosperity on your terms, click the link below in the description box to enroll in the Money Mastery Program. Also, check out my Goals Mastery Program. If you feel you need more clarity in life, this course is really going to help you get clear with what you want in life and help you identify, define, and align with your vision, mission, and goals. And so it's really a 360 approach where we take a look at the 7 different factors in our life so that we are really upgrading each of those areas. So also, it's always great to have inspirational and motivational reminders to keep you moving forward towards your dreams and goals. And so click on the link below to choose your favorite custom design gift for yourself, family, and friends in the online merch store. Here I've got one of my favorite cups. It's the Doodle Heart cup. It's the Doodle Heart mug. And this one's just a beautiful design. It's got a red handle and the red inside, which is a beautiful color contrast to the red heart in the middle. So truly a reminder to always follow our dream, follow our heart to achieve our dreams and goals. And so I definitely enjoy that every time I have my cup of tea or my cup of coffee during my evening routine. I really enjoy that. And so I encourage you to go ahead and check it out and pick up your favorite custom design t-shirt, mug, and go ahead and enjoy that. So if you enjoyed this video and want to improve the quality of your life, click the subscribe button to level up, and I'll see you on the next one. Till next time.